Looks like we made it, my fellow Americans. Coming in at number 19 on the list. Oh, what list? The world's most obese countries. Yes, we made it to the top 20. Now I know you were expecting to hear some good news, but this is our reality. Just to get a quick picture of it, here's a chart of a BMI scale. And now Tonga is coming in at 72.35% of obesity in their country. And here we are at a whopping 42.74% of obesity in our country. And then Vietnam actually is coming in pretty low. They're coming in at 2.04% of obesity in their country. So on a scale, would you say we're at underweight, normal, overweight, obese, extreme obesity? Unfortunately, the United States is coming in at a whopping 30.0 to 34.9 on a BMI scale of obesity. And so just keep this in your mind and in the forefront of your mind while we had this discussion today. And so what is obesity? It is a chronic health condition characterized by excessive body fat accumulation that can impair one's health. And so today we're going to talk about how processed foods are a leading contributing factor to obesity. In fact, one study on obesity care clinic describes it this way. Processed foods are foods that undergo various processing steps, such as adding preservatives, artificial flavors and coloring, high in calories, unhealthy fats, high in sugars and salt, and guess what is low in? Essential nutrients. And so who of us loves fast food places such as McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Wawa, Chipotle, or even Starbucks? Many of us would agree that we go there on a daily routine. And so yes, all these places are a quick, easy place to grab a snack, to grab a meal. And although these places are usually a fast and easy choice, they are actually serving us extremely toxic foods that affect our body. And so what about the foods that we find in the local markets? Who of us likes Mountain Dew, Ritz crackers, Gatorade after a nice workout, Frosted Flakes for the kids, some Skittles, Pop-Tarts? These are just a few processes that we add to our daily or weekly grocery list. Unfortunately, all of these that I just mentioned are actually banned in other countries such as United Kingdom, Canada, even in Europe because of the toxic chemicals that are found in these products. That's interesting, right? In fact, one study showed how Frosted Flakes, a very popular cereal, actually has chemicals in it that can be linked to organ system failure. Something to consider. And now let's dig a little bit deeper. Some studies say that processed foods triggers the same part of the brain as hard drugs. Let me give you an example. We'll break it down this way. When the body processes unprocessed whole foods that are higher in nutrition, such as like nuts, almonds, peanuts, avocados, and fruits and veggies, it requires an extensive digestion before the body can use them. And so what that means is the nutrients absorbs in our lower intestines and they do not trigger the brain. Whereas processed foods, both the fat and the carbs enter our bloodstreams immediately and it goes through our upper intestines. And so what that does is it triggers the dopamine in our brain. And so dopamine is the reward system or a happy hormone. And so who of us wouldn't want more of something that is telling us, hey, this is good, I like this, we like this. So that dopamine trigger in our brain actually leads to addiction and overeating. And so now that we've seen how it can become addictive, let us see how it can affect the body. And so eating processed foods can, of course, lead to more weight gain. One study has said in as little as 2 weeks you can gain weight. And now it can also lead to mental issues such as depression. It could also lead to physical issues such as lack of motivation to do physical activity. It increases inflammation in the body. In fact, One report from the CDC mentions the number of deaths for leading causes of death are high blood pressure and another one being diabetes. In 2022, 702,880 people died from heart disease. 101,209 people died from diabetes. Both heart disease and diabetes are contributing factors linked to obesity. It's really sad when you put the number to that. That's 700,000. It's close to 1 million people die a year simply from heart disease. And so it's really like a trickle-down effect. What we eat leads to obesity. Obesity leads to chronic conditions such as heart disease, diabetes, cancers, and even death. And so, yes, we can become obese from many other things such as our genetics, other poor eating habits, excessive drinking. The list can go on, but we should pay more than the usual attention to the highly marketed processed foods that we consume on a daily basis. And so, in conclusion, processed food may appear to be good in taste, quick, easy, even cheaper to eat, but we've learned today that it holds toxic chemicals, it has additives in it, and it leads to none other than obesity. So, if you're on the verge of the obesity on the BMI scale, take control by eliminating and avoiding processed foods.